We now have the opportunity to hear from Dr. Lee Jaehyon, the Principal Fellow, the Center for Regional Studies at the Asian Institute for Policy Studies. This will be live streamed regarding the spaghetti bowl of marine undersea cables protecting connectivity and communications. Dr. Jaehyon, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
To the Congress of the Philippines for having me in this forum this afternoon. I'm really sorry for not attending the forum in person. I wish I could, because this morning the temperature here in Seoul was like minus 12 degrees, and still we are recording minus 7 degrees in the afternoon. So I guess the temperature in Manila will be much warmer. Anyway, let me introduce myself just briefly. As I introduced, my name is Jaehyon Lee. I'm a principal fellow at the ASEAN Institute. Basically, I can't say that I'm an expert on the undersea underwater cable issue, but I'm more an expert on Southeast Asian affairs and international relations surrounding Southeast Asian countries as well as ASEAN. But I am developing my research interest into many non-traditional security issues, including this undersea cable issue. So probably I could cover some regional implication of this undersea cable issue. That is why I was invited to this forum. I got like 15 minutes, so I have to hurry up a little bit. In my presentation, I will cover 3 different topics. The first of all, I have to mention why undersea cable matters for mention the I have to mention the importance of undersea cable. There are 2 different implications for the civilian and the military and conflict situation. Basically, we are so much dependent on undersea cable for our communication and daily life. It is like air. We are like the air we breathe every day. So, for example, this one like online meeting that I have today is all thanks to the undersea cable connecting different countries across the border, and the emails we are sending, receiving, they're all dependent on this undersea cable as well as the SMS. And the business sectors increasingly dependent on the undersea cable for the communication and commercial activities, not to mention e-commerce and online banking, and also the national critical infrastructure for the whole nation is increasingly dependent on undersea cable for the communication, transactions, and data flows. For example, smart grid for electricity allocation, controlling transportation in the bustling major cities, and smart mobility, major national infrastructure, which is controlled remotely or centrally via online. It's all thanks to undersea cable. So if there is a serious damage in the undersea cable, it will be a national scale, it will cause national scale disaster or chaos. For example, Philippines is affected by many typhoons in a year. The typhoons impact, the disaster typhoons impact will be limited regionally, But if the undersea cable, the connecting Philippines to the outside world is damaged, then the implication, the damage will be nationwide in such a short time. And also the undersea cable has some military and conflict situation implications as well. There are well-known cases in Europe in recent months, last year in November, December, and January, some undersea cable connecting like Germany, Finland, Sweden were damaged, and people suspect Russian ship is involved in this case. And also in December, a Chinese flagged ship was suspected damaging Baltic Sea cable. And a few weeks ago, in January 2025, Swedish authorities seized a vessel that trying to damage undersea cable that connects Latvia and Sweden. So there are these kind of cases in Europe, and by cutting undersea cable, the perpetrator intends to damage C4ISR, which is command, control, communication, computers, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance activities by the military. The intention is quite clear. Try to cripple opponents' potential retaliation or counterattack capability at the early stage of war or battle. So, military aspect and civilian aspects will be severely impacted when the undersea cable is damaged. But in most of the countries, big countries, this undersea cable damage is not a serious problem because many countries have multiple lines, multiple cables that connecting this one country to another or outside the world. So if there is a damage on one line of cable, the backup lines can still function, and there could be some congestion in data flows and a bit of a slowdown, but it still functions, so it should be okay. But the serious problem is some small countries, for example, the countries in the South Pacific Islands, they are dependent on a single line. So this single line of undersea cable is damaged, then the whole country will go back to pre-electronic era. For example, in 2022, there was undersea volcano activities in near Tonga, and the single line connecting outside the world and Tonga was severely damaged, and it put the whole country almost entirely disconnected from the outside world, and it took 5 weeks to repair the undersea cable. So it was a serious problem for Tonga. And this region, Southeast Asia or Indo-Pacific, is not an exception of this potential undersea cable damage. For example, in 2024, there was undersea cable damage, which were connecting Taiwan and Matsu Island for multiple times. And Chinese fishing boats were blamed at that time. And also in April 2024, a cable in Malacca Strait was damaged, and it caused some internet disruption across Southeast Asia. When it comes to the undersea cable threat, there are 3 different types of threat: intended, unintended, or espionage or tapping issue. So not all undersea cable damage is with hostile or bad intention. For example, out of all these total cases of so far, they reported undersea cable damage, 95% is unintended. Only 5% was done with some hostile or bad intention. For example, the fishing boat can drag nets and it causes damage on the undersea cable, or seismic activities under the sea can cause serious damage on the underwater cable. So these kind of cases, unintended damage, accounts for 95% of the whole issue. Intended damage is something about sabotaging with the strategic and military purpose. And this kind of activity is usually done utilizing submarines. And the submarines deep in the sea, they operate to damage undersea cable. And only small number of countries with advanced military capability can do this. So major powers have very specialized forces for this kind of activities. The good news, though, is the attack with strategic and military purpose is not that common. It is very costly to make this kind of activities deep in the sea. The operation is so difficult. So it is much easier to sabotage or damage cable once it is landed. So this undersea cable damage with some bad intention is not that common. But another interesting type of threat is tapping, or tapping the wire for spying or data steal. In this case, there is no serious damage on the cable itself, but the safety and security of the cable and data that flows through the cable will be compromised. And this kind of tapping has some strategic and military implication as well as commercial implication too. For example, some countries, to develop their AI, they need massive amount of data. So the tapping the undersea cable will be one of the way to collecting data for AI learning. So there's this kind of dangers. But the difficulties, then we understand that we have to protect and we have to put those person or country, hold those country and person in responsibility, but that's not easy. The thing is, most of the regional countries, they don't have high awareness on the danger of this undersea cable threat to the undersea cable. Even if there is awareness, there is a lack of effective MDA, maritime domain awareness, or surveillance capability of individual regional countries. And there's also institutional loopholes. Maybe you can imagine that to protect undersea cable, there's some institutions and agencies can be mobilized. For example, police, Navy, Coast Guard, intelligence agencies, some ministries, and private sector that construct and operate this cable. So there's a big question, who's really in charge of protecting this undersea cable? For Korean case, the police, military, Navy, Coast Guard, intelligence, and the ministry all aware that the undersea cable protection is very important. But the first responsibility goes to the private company that construct and operate this undersea cable. So if there's a damage and this private company that operates this undersea cable report it to police or maritime police, Coast Guard, Navy, then the government comes in to investigate or take action. So there's this kind of loophole. And another problem is identifying the perpetrator and holding this person or country responsible or bringing the perpetrator to the justice is extremely difficult. Identifying these activity is extremely difficult. It is done very quietly, deep in the sea, and it is really hard and difficult to detect this kind of activities, especially when the affected country lacks MDA capability.
Thank you,
And
Dr.
also-
Jaehyon. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your comments. We're running out of time.
Oh, sorry.
Do you have a final word?
Let me finish in a couple of minutes then. Okay. So the issue is the resilience. Quickly we have to recover from the damage. The only few countries have this capability. What we need is regional arrangement to protect and to fix this undersea cable. And it is time for the government to pay more attention to protect and to repair this cable. So we need a more effective multilateral regional arrangement. Individual countries do not have enough capability, so we have to put our hands together. Let me finish it. I'm sorry for the time control.
Thank you, sir. Really, very much appreciate your contribution to this dialogue.